There's bucket number 5. See, I'm about a third of the way through the pile there. And good news. I found my clippers that I lost a while ago. Hey there, Purple Girl here. Yesterday I started a big job. My compost pile had gone cold. Technically it had gone into the warm zone. So the thermometer's been out of there for a while, so this isn't what it looked like yesterday, but you can see there's the warm zone there, and the active zone and the hot zone. What I've been doing this summer to get my compost going is I had built up my pile and I would get it up to the hot zone, and while it sat in the hot zone, I would just leave it for a few days, and then after about a week it would go back down to active, and once it started to hit that active zone, I would come in and I would empty out my bin, and I'd move everything that was in the middle of the bin to the outside edges and the top, and everything that was on the outside edges and the top to the middle. And it would heat right back up to hot again. It would usually stay there for close to a week, and as it started to back off back down to active, I would come in and do the same thing again. And I've been doing that all summer, and occasionally I'll just take out a few bucketfuls from the middle that are nice finished compost, and I would just put it in another bin to sit. And that's what I've been doing all summer. But last week this got down into the just warm range, which isn't enough, I don't think, to keep it going and get it heated back up again. And my bin was getting pretty full. So what I've decided to do is just go through, and I took out all the, you can't really see it well behind me here, but I filled my wagon up behind me here with all of the kind of newer things that have just been sitting on top, accumulating. And that was just to get those things out of my way. And then I've just been scooping what's in the pile onto the sieve, sieving it out into this bucket, and then whatever is too big and doesn't sieve out, I'm filling into these chug buckets here. So whatever goes into the big yellow bucket is going into my other compost bin, which I had already emptied out. So it's just nice sieved, mosquitoes, nice sieved compost. And then I'll use what's left over as part of my foundation for building this pile again. So I've already taken 5 of the yellow buckets out. I'm about a third of the way through the pile, and I'm just going to keep working on it. But this is what I'm doing to kind of restart that hot compost again. So I'm going to keep working on this, and I'll show you how many of these buckets I get out of there of finished compost in the end, and I'll show you when I'm putting it back together. So I ran out of available time for this project yesterday, so I'm just going to pick right back up on it today and try and get it done. Move these buckets out of my way. So I'm just going through, and I'm not pushing it through the wire mesh screen that I made here, but I'm just kind of giving it a shake. I find doing this just isn't enough. And then any big chunks can just come right out. This is tree branches that I've chipped with my tree chipper. Looks like I found a spot with a lot of leaves in it. I don't think there'll be much in here. Yesterday it was taking me about 15 minutes. Not sure how many scoops to fill this yellow bucket. So I worked on this for just over an hour. I got 5 buckets done yesterday. Let's see how far we get today. So you can see how most of this isn't really recognizable as anything anymore. So I could just be taking all of this that I'm scooping out now and just moving it over to the other bin just to kind of sit for a while and just finish the last little bits of decomposition. But I just thought, being that there is still some like sticks, twigs, there's the odd very recognizable leaf. You know, there's a few things. Occasionally I run into like a stalk of some plant here. So I just thought I'll sift it now. Then I have the nice sifted stuff available to me. And it can sit for a while before it gets used. And the rest of this can go back into the new pile and just continue to break down even more. Now, I do occasionally run into something like a stem from a squash or something. They take a very long time to break down. So I just keep sticking them back in, go around again. Citrus takes a really long time to break down. So it usually goes through a few rounds of compost. Or if you get a really big clump of grass clippings or something like that that's very wet and green, then sometimes it'll just kind of get really gloopy and not really break down. But otherwise, like this is a piece of toilet paper roll that I use to plant seeds in, and it's definitely breaking down, but it's not broken down yet. But it's not really smelly. It just has a real earthy smell because most of this has been mostly composted anyways. There's not a lot of the greens left or the nitrogen rich material left, and that's really where a lot of your smell comes from. So this isn't a stinky job, just a kind of time consuming job for the most part. I have one bucket full already, so just kind of push things to the sides so it tends to pile up in the middle. One more scoop on here and we'll be ready to dump that yellow bin. Because I keep my compost hot, I also don't have issues with rodents and a lot of bugs. It's going to be a few flies kind of on the top, especially because I just set the new stuff on there and then eventually cover it with leaves and that, but I'll just pile up new stuff for a while. But because it's so hot and we don't have a lot of trash marauding kind of critters coming through my yard here, so my biggest concern with compost is like mice, and the heat in the bin keeps the mice out. So that's another reason to get it heated back up again before the mice think they want to move in over here. There, so that bin's full. I'm gonna go dump it into my other compost bin, and then it'll be just sit there to just break down even more, and I could use it at this point as well. So there's my 6th bucket of compost going in the bin. That's going to make this bin about half full by the looks of things. Yeah, it's about half full now. So here's bucket number 7, ready to go to the other bin. Bucket number 8. I've lost track. Is this 9? I think it's 9. Here's number 10. I think I just have 1, maybe 2 more buckets left to go. Not bad. Okay, this is the 11th bucket that I have sifted out, and I might be able to get a little bit more out of there, but I'm starting to sometimes scoop. There used to be a sandbox into that spot, and occasionally I'm getting a little bit of sand in, so I think I've gone deep enough. And my bin that I'm dumping this in is almost full, so I think I have quite a bit here, and it's going to be time to start building the pile up again. So I'm going to go dump this one out, and then I'll start building the pile back up. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty full. This was empty when I started. Big bin of compost to use. Let's go build a pile. So you can see I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 buckets of what I sifted out of the compost, and then the wagon is full of mostly greens, like food scraps, garden scraps, a little bit of grass clippings I think are in there. And so I'm just gonna layer things in, and then I need to go and cut my grass, so that'll get layered in here. I have a few kitchen scraps, not much in my kitchen, that I've been waiting to finish this job for, and I'll get that done. I'm just thinking now, if I got a dish and a ladder, I could reach those cherries right now, but I don't really have time. Maybe I'll just build the pile close to the back, and then I can move it around a bit as I stir it later after I get those cherries, maybe tomorrow. I'm just gonna kind of put layers in and see where it takes me. Just gonna kind of scrape things back a bit. Now, the gross part is gonna be digging all that kitchen waste, garden waste out of the wheelbarrow or wagon and putting it back in here. Okay, so that was a big job. It spanned a couple of days. It took me about, I think, 3 hours altogether to do it. And I've just got to start to getting the new pile built. But like I said, I have a few things in the house yet that I can bring out. I need to cut my grass, and it will slowly build back up to the big pile that it was before. I am going to stick my thermometer in there just to see if it even starts to heat up at this size. So we'll see if it heats up at this size. And I'm just going to keep building, and we'll get another big pile of hot compost going soon, I'm sure. But it's definitely worth the effort to do this. You saw the big bin of compost that I have that's finished that I can use now. And I've already actually pulled a couple of large bags that I buy, like kind of the bale size bags that you buy potting soil in. I've filled a couple of those bags up with compost that I've sifted out of here from this spring. So it's worth the effort if you have the space and the physical ability to do something like this. So thanks for coming along and hanging out with me while I sifted my compost out, and hopefully it gave you some inspiration to get a hot compost pile going in your yard. I think it really, when you're doing it, using a thermometer is the best way to get a good gauge on what you're doing and what you need to change and adjust when it comes to composting. I'll leave a link to my compost playlist in case you want to learn more about the composting that I do or have done in the past. And we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.